Good morning, Pat. My name is Ellsworth Dakin, and I'm the Caribbean focal point for IRENA. IRENA is the International Renewable Energy Agency, the head office located in Abu Dhabi. They're supposed to be the center of excellence, and they have offices in Bonn, Germany, and in New York. This morning, I would like to invite opening remarks from our head of country engagement and partnership, Mr. Amjad Abdullah. He will give some opening remarks on behalf of IRENA. Amjad.
Thank you very much, Ellsworth. Friends, Leslie Smith, National Ozone Officer at the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development, Physical Development and Energy. Friends, colleagues, participants, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me a great pleasure that I'm here today to participate in the opening session of the two-day training, which is the third segment of Grenada's capacity building program. It gives me great pleasure that I'm here today to participate in the opening session of the two-day training, which is the third segment of Grenada's capacity building program, training course on energy management and energy auditing. On behalf of IRENA, let me also welcome you all this morning from IRENA's headquarters in Abu Dhabi. This event is jointly organized with the support of NDC partnerships under the Climate Action Enhancement Package, in collaboration with Ministry of Finance, Economic Development, Physical Development and Energy, as well as the Ministry of Climate Resilience, the Environment, Forestry, Fisheries and Disaster Management, and IRENA through SIDS Lighthouses initiatives. As you may be aware, energy efficiency and renewable energy are the two key solutions to enable the global energy transformation. According to IRENA's latest World Energy Transition Outlook report, an aggressive energy efficiency strategy coupled with increased renewable energy deployment is the most holistic path towards halving emissions by 2030, as recommended by Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Across the globe, there are significant opportunities to improve the efficiency of how we generate, consume, and distribute energy. For Grenada, it is especially true for different sectors where air conditioning and lighting and hotels account the highest shares of energy use. With this in mind, this training program was designed to strengthen the capacity of relevant stakeholders, such as different government institutions, targeted to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 40% by 2030, as outlined in your NDCs. Distinguished participants, it's well known that the different sectors is far most effective industries by COVID-19 pandemic in SIDS. According to OECD's SIDS, GDPs dropped by 6.9% in 2020 due to global contractions in tourism and fisheries. Furthermore, the recent spikes in energy prices also place further financial burdens on different sectors at large. Investments in energy efficiency is one of the easiest avenues to derive environmental, social, and economic benefits in a short time frame, as well as to address the current volatility in the energy markets. It can create, obviously, jobs, foster economic growth, and improve energy security for SIDS, like Grenada, that lacks domestic fossil fuel. Today's training builds on the first two series of webinars, which targeted to residential and key economic sectors. Our key takeaways from those sessions is the fact that there are significant economic benefits that can be derived from a wide range of energy conservation, and energy management practices, which also include low-cost measures.
Hello?
It is recognized that the mobilization of financial resources are essential to implement energy efficient solutions. With this, local financial institutions have developed investment products for energy efficiency and in key different economic sectors that will continue to face ongoing challenges relating to limited cash flows and access to credit lines for financing of small sustainable energy projects, access to loans at concessional interest rates, and improving the bankability of energy efficiency projects in different key economic sectors are therefore a key to removing financial barriers to deployment of sustainable energy solutions. This training will provide an avenue to strengthen the linkages between climate, and financing experts towards the development of energy efficiency proposals. In today's webinar, you will learn about the fundamentals of energy as well as the benefits of energy conservation and energy efficiency. It will also equip you with the knowledge to conduct energy audits in various facilities, how to assess the technical opportunities for improving energy performance, and evaluate the financial feasibility of energy saving opportunities to support informed decision making. Over the next 2 days, I encourage you all to be actively engaged in the interactive discussions and exercise. This capacity building program will no doubt will also continue in April and May, and will focus on government. Well, this will be the last of the series of the webinars organized for Grenada. In closing, I wish to extend our appreciations to the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development, Physical Development, and Energy, as well as the Ministry of Climate, Resilience, the Environment, Forestry, Fisheries, and Disaster Management, and the trainers from Energy Resource Institute for their tireless effort and contribution to the development, planning, and successful delivery of this program. We look forward to our continued support to Grenada as you transition towards a more efficient and low carbon resilient future. I thank you, and I wish you a very successful meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Amjad. I really want to welcome all of the participants this morning. It has been shared beyond Grenada, although it is a Grenada capacity building program. I see folks as far as the Philippines, and I want to say a special greetings to all those who have joined this session this morning. I want to invite Mr. Christopher Joseph from the Ministry of Climate Resilience and Environment to give some brief remarks on behalf of the Energy Division by the government of Grenada. Chris?
Sure, Good morning, Mr. Moderator. I'm not sure if my camera is working. Is it? Can you hear me?
We hear you. We're not seeing you, but
Oh, you...
but we can hear you
Okay,
loud. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the camera. So it seems as if I'm having some technical difficulties. The camera is on.
No problem. We can hear you loud.
Apparently not picking me up. But once you can hear me, then basically I'd like to say good morning to all of IRENA's officials, the consultants and facilitators, Government of Grenada officials, other ministry and statutory body officials, good morning. Now, energy management is related with planning, monitoring, and controlling energy-associated processes with the aim to preserve energy resources, enable energy cost savings, and to protect the environment. climate protection, while ensuring that the users have permanent access to energy that they need, are now also key objectives of energy management. I'm confident, though, that you will learn more about these concepts as you participate in this webinar 3, which is Grenada's capacity building training in energy management and energy audits, which are geared at ministerial officials over the next couple of days. The use of energy is hinged to the issue of climate change and the magnitude of its impacts on humanity and nature, and arguably its contributions to the existential threat to life as we know it on planet Earth provides for spirited debates. The major categories of energy for electricity generation are fossil fuels, namely coal, gas, and petroleum, nuclear energy, and renewable energy sources. And this existential threat is being contributed to by our use and reliance on fossil fuels. Against this backdrop, ladies and gentlemen, and particularly even though the state of Grenada only contributes very small amounts of carbon dioxide, in 2010, for example, 251,649 tons of CO2, or 0.0005% of total global emissions was experienced. We experience major extreme events that are associated with climate change, and the cost associated with the damages, repairs, or retrofitting are either setting us back personally or collectively as a nation. Now, active recognition of this is imperative, and prudence dictates that steps be taken to mitigate and or adapt to this phenomenon. Government's policy approaches and responses, such as prohibitions, as with the case of refrigeration technologies, incentives and disincentives, as with the case of concessions and taxation, commitments to phase out the use of older inefficient technologies, such as incandescent lighting bulbs, or the internal combustion engine vehicles, which uses fossil fuels, and the promotion of energy efficient technologies, electric vehicles, and even energy conservation practices are all part of the new ideas to facilitating change. This training today is also part of a kit of tools aiming at facilitating capacity building and competence, targeting behavior change to take individual responsibility and facilitating a stewardship or leadership approach. We will now be empowered as it relates to making informed decisions relative to the tools and equipment we purchase and how we use them on behalf of our ministries or even at home. Empowered to make more informed decisions that will ultimately translate into financial savings in these hard economic times. So the ministry, with responsibility for climate resilience and the environment, is pleased to be associated with the International Renewable Energy Agency and the Energy Division on this initiative. The ministry, and by extension, government, concerns itself with the sustainable use of energy and articulates the same in its 2020 NDC. No, not the political party, but the second nationally determined contributions policy and other policy statements, such as the 2030 Sustainable Development Plan, wherein energy is a key issue. I know you were not coerced to be here today, neither were you forced, but in the event you had other plans for being other places right now, I am extremely happy that you are here, as I know it will worth your time. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Chris, for your remarks. This time I'd like to also welcome Dr. Kelvin George, who is the head of the Economic and Technical Cooperation in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development and Physical Development and Energy, to give some brief remarks. Dr. George?
Yes. Good morning. Good morning. I'm commencing based on protocol already established. Thank you very much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, this two-day webinar organized by IRENA in conjunction with the Ministry of Energy, Climate Resilience, and the Environment could not have been more appropriate, especially due to the current and anticipated high and volatile energy costs and the economic pressure created by the pandemic that is hurting homeowners and small businesses. As we are aware, energy is a fundamental requirement for national development. Therefore, access to affordable, reliable, clean, and secure energy are necessary to drive the sustainable development of all economic sectors. Noteworthy, the National Sustainable Development Plan 2020-2035 and the National Determined Contribution require a comprehensive pathway inclusive of transitioning of the energy sector into sustainable energy, efficiency energy, and renewable energy. Dear participants, it is critical to know that over 95% of the electricity generated in Grenada is derived from fossil-based petroleum imports. The volatility of the prices of the fuel used to generate electricity directly impact the cost per unit of electricity consumed, a cost that has risen significantly in recent times. Critical to mention is Grenada acquisition of Grenlec in an effort to regulate the electricity price and to adequately develop the ecosystem relevant for the transitioning process. According to Grenlec's annual report for 2020, the average annual consumption per customer increased by 2% over the previous year for the domestic sector. In an effort to adequately mitigate the adverse situations and the impact of increase in energy costs has on the domestic market, commercial market, and the industrial market, the government of Grenada has undertaken the following. The need for proper energy management, which involves monitoring and evaluation, knowing what your consumption levels are, finding opportunities to save energy, taking actions to target the opportunities to save energy, and tracking your progress to determine how well your actions have worked. Continuous monitoring. Energy conservation and efficiencies. This strategy are national strategies that are enforced by the government of Grenada, where the national energy mitigation strategy involves optimal utilization of solar, wind, and geothermal, which can provide a comparative advantage for the country's economy and development. Therefore, it is incumbent upon all citizens to practice energy conservation by avoiding the use of energy where possible, energy efficiency by reducing the amount of energy used. Paradigm shift. This involves behavioral change in energy use, which can make a huge difference. It is prudent to design strategies such as this webinar to guide homeowners and young people on how to assess their energy and electricity consumption and to identify and implement energy saving measures. Reducing our energy consumption, meaning reducing our carbon footprint and CO2 emission and helping to protect and preserve our environment. This is critical, allowing Grenada to meet national targets set forth in the Nationally Determined Contribution, or NDCs 2020. Under the Paris Agreement, the National Sustainable Development Plan 2020-2035, and the National Climate Change Policy. Energy transitioning. Indeed, there have been some strategies deployed in Grenada towards the transitioning to a sustainable energy market that is built on renewable energy and efficiency energy. One of the most important actions was the promulgation of a new Electricity Supply Act 2016 that aims to encourage the uptake and wide diffusion of renewable energy into the market. With the new Electricity Act and establishment of the Public Utility Regulatory Commission, the PURC, and the development of the e-mobility project EMAC for implementation in 2022, indeed, Grenada is poised to achieve the intended transition towards sustainable energy. Furthermore, the National Climate Change Policy 2017-2021 provides the most comprehensive direction for us to pursue low carbon development and build resilience to climate change. Additionally, as communicated in the NDC, the government has committed to reducing greenhouse gas emission by 30% of the 2010 levels by 2025, with an indicative reduction of 40% of the 2010 level by 2030. The National Determined Contribution also identified a 30% reduction in emission from the production of electricity. In this regard, it is envisaged that 10% of these emissions reductions will come from adding renewable energy into the production mix, while the remaining 20% will come from implementing energy efficiency strategies. And finally, the revised national energy policy. This policy involves the institutional change and transformation of the energy sector initiated through the legal framework enacted in 2017, as well as development in the energy sector, including the new regulatory framework underway, which necessitates an overall update of the National Energy Policy 2021. This revised policy focuses on renewable energy, efficiency energy actions, considering the integrated resource plan, the development of adequate ecosystem, sector infrastructure development, current and future demand, and the second NDC. The government of Grenada extends its appreciation to IRENA for this strategic initiative. All participants are encouraged to take advantage of this webinar series, which promises to provide you with tools to help save energy, save money, and ultimately positively impact the environment. Thank you very much. And I bless you, and I hope that you all have a great webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kelvin. And it's good to hear that Grenada has a revised energy policy and the ambitious NDC targets. And this capacity training program is all within the strategy of achieving those NDC targets. This webinar, as I said before, is specifically geared for Grenada, and we have invited participants throughout the region and international bodies. And I see we have people as far as Nepal, Saudi Arabia, Kenya. And as I said before, the Philippines. I just want to welcome you and thank you for joining. I know we don't share a common time, and it's really good to have you here. Before we go on to the session where we'll introduce the trainers, I just want to take this time out to take a group picture. If you can just turn your screens on your video, and I will ask Nani to just take a snapshot of the participants, and then I will move into introducing you to the speakers, the trainers. So can you just turn your camera on so that we can take a group picture? Everyone?
Sorry, I'm not operating with a camera at this time. This is Wanda Granger.
Okay, whoever can, if you can't join, you could, as much participants will be grateful if you can just turn your camera on. Nadia, are you hearing me?
Yes, always. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. How many pictures? Just let me know.
One more, if that's okay with everyone.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. You can take your cameras off now. So I want to welcome you to the trainers, and they are specifically from the Energy of Resource Institute, TERI. And TERI is a leading think tank dedicated to conducting research for sustainable development of India and the global South. It was established in 1974 as an information center on energy issues. TERI focuses on promoting clean energy, resource efficiency, environmental management, sustainable agriculture, sustainable habitat, and climate resilience. TERI is a research-based institution with international outreach and collaboration, and they work well with the government and the media, the youths, and civil society. So from TERI, we have a few presenters. We have with us Dr. Nashima Rao. He's the Director of the Industrial Energy Efficiency from TERI. He has over 25 years of experience in implementing energy efficiency and renewable energy technologies across economic sectors and multilingual environments of Asia, Africa, Europe, North and South America. He holds a degree in mechanical engineering and has done his master's and doctorate in energy systems. And he heads a list of accredited energy auditors published by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency in the Ministry of Power in India. He has 2 patents to his credit. I will introduce his other colleagues as we go forward. But at this point in time, I would like to invite Dr. Rao to kick off the webinar and begin his presentation. Dr. Rao.
Thank you, Mr. Ellsworth. Good morning to all the participants and the executives from the IRENA and the distinguished guests from the ministry. So we are going to start the technical session now. Yatharth? Yatharth? You can share the screen? Yeah. So we have the content for the today's webinar, the first day webinar. We have the present objectives of methodology of the target audience who are going to be in this particular webinar, and the brief background of Grenada energy sector. And we have the concepts of energy and how to conduct the energy audit. This is a specific session which we are dealing today, mainly the fundamentals of energy and energy efficiency and conservation, and the methodology of doing the energy audit, and how to assess the electricity bill. These are the topics which we are going to cover, and with some exercises also are being included in the presentation. Tomorrow, the day 2, where the energy efficiency measures and financial planning is a session where how to do the on-site assessment after use of the instrumentation, and how to derive the energy saving measures, and what kind of energy measures can be defined from each of the facilities. Those kind of assessments will be covered tomorrow, along with the energy saving calculations and the financial viability of the projects, and the energy reporting format, how we need to carry out the energy format. And there are calculations, basic calculations, how one can derive the energy efficiency measures and how to calculate. Those are being covered in the tomorrow session. Okay, next, yeah. So coming to the today's webinar, as we have seen from the opening remarks from the ministerial stakeholders, the Grenada has been well established with the reduction in energy consumption, and managing it will be the quickest and the easiest and highest returns in energy transition has been identified. And it is a government's commitment that they are well taking it forward
through the awareness as well as implementation and demonstration, which we can see in today's slides also. This particular webinar, the main objective is to strengthen the end users. End users could be government institutions or the statutory bodies, organizations, and the training institutions. These are the end users with their energy perspective in their consumptions, their own facilities consumption, as well as the projects which they are planning and proposing to take it up. So those, how one has to assess, that has been going to be discussed in today's webinar. That is the main objective, and how this energy assessment can be done, and how to identify the energy saving measures, and how these things can be implemented in practical manner. So there are 2 webinars that have been already carried out in the last in the month of December, as well as in the early this month. One for the homeowners and youth, the first webinar has been carried out. The second one for the hotels and the financial institutions has been taken place. Now the third webinar, present webinar, is for the training institutions, government ministries, and statutory organizations. So we have a list of partners in this particular program who are supporting. And last webinar, there is good presentations are there from even the electric power generation company Grenada, and even the ministry and their commitments. Even today we are seeing there is a Ministry of Finance and climate change team. There is a good opening remarks has been displayed. Next. So as we have seen from the earlier.
Before we go into that, Dr.
Yeah.
So sorry. I think we did we need to get a review of the overview of the energy sector in Grenada.
Yeah.
But Mr. Smith, Leslie Smith, had
Okay.
some few remarks.
Sure.
It is oversight on my part, but I do apologize.
Yeah.
So Leslie, can you make your remarks regarding the energy sector in Grenada and give us an overview of what it is and what's the policy and what are some of the specifics that the government is aiming to do with regards to energy and energy efficiency. Leslie?
Good morning all, and thank you, Deacon. Yeah, the presentation essentially is on the energy policies, the different policies and regulation that has been instituted to set the tone for the webinar. So if Dr. Rowe can stop sharing, I can share my screen so that we can take it through. So I take it that everybody can see my screen now, correct?
We can.
Yes, we can see.
So I would leave out all the preambular things here because I think Dr. Rowe would take care of that. But I want to speak on the protocol already established and to recognize Dr. George, Mr. Joseph, Dr. Rowe and team, the other government officials, the officials from IRENA, the folks from the SIDS Lighthouse Initiative, the statutory organizations, as well as the training institutions, and all of the participants from Grenada, the region, and throughout the world. So with regards to some of the policies that government has instituted to promote the uptake of renewable energy and energy efficiency, quite a number of initiatives are currently being undertaken. So first of all, we have maybe the most overarching of them is the National Sustainable Development Plan 2020-2035, the National Climate Change Policy, the Nationally Determined Contributions, the National Energy Policy, the Electricity Supplies Act of 2016, as well as the Public Utilities Regulatory Act of 2016, and the National Cooling Action Plan. So what I would do now is to basically go through some of them, just some brief annotations, and to look at what first of all, the National Sustainable Development Plan speaks to. And this plan basically established in it feed-in tariffs and it adjusts accordingly to stimulate the uptake and investment in renewable energy technologies. It also includes minimum energy performance standards for buildings and for products, appliances, and so on. And there's a capacity development aspect of it that would improve the capacity of nationals with regards to renewable energy technologies and energy efficiency. As Dr. George mentioned, it speaks specifically to the introduction of electric and hybrid vehicles as we transition away from the petroleum-based internal combustion engines that dominate in the market. And of course, it also looks at other policies and support systems to make all of those technologies affordable for the energy impoverished. And of course, it also includes the public awareness and for renewable energy and energy efficiency. So all that is part of outcome 8 of the National Sustainable Development Plan 2020 to 2035. And a lot of what we are going to be doing from the Energy Division would focus on outcome 8. The National Climate Change Policy is another policy that has been instituted. As you heard, the policy was for 2017 to 2021. And in speaking with officials from the Ministry of Climate Resilience, this policy is currently being updated, and we will have an updated version of it very shortly. But within the National Climate Change Policy, it addresses a number of issues related to greenhouse gas emissions, both adaptation and mitigation actions that can be taken at the national level to reduce our carbon footprint and ultimately our GHG or greenhouse gas emissions. And it addresses all sectors from public to private to non-governmental and student and training institutions. All have been included in the National Climate Change Policy. And of course, many of you are familiar with the nationally determined contributions 2020 as the second nationally determined contributions. And energy has been identified as one of the 4 focus areas for emissions reductions. And has been mentioned by Dr. George in his earlier remarks, there are a number of targets that have been set by Grenada in achieving these very ambitious targets. So for example, the NDC speaks to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions by 30% of the 2010 levels by 2025, with an indicative reduction of 40% of the 2010 emissions level by 2030. And interestingly, what you have mentioned is that 20% of these targets are to be achieved from energy efficiency gains by 2025. 100% renewable energy generation by 2030, and again, another very ambitious target, but not unattainable, definitely. And that will be achieved through a 15 megawatt geothermal contribution, 10 megawatt solar, and 2 megawatt wind. Just to put things in perspective, at the moment, we're hovering somewhere about 4 to 5 megawatts of solar, and that has been increasing on an annual basis. In terms of the NDC reduction, again, emissions reductions through to 2025, 10% from renewables, and as I said, 20% would come from energy efficiency gains. Dr. George spoke a little bit extensively on the National Energy Policy, which also is expired and is currently being updated with some assistance from the World Bank. And hopefully by the end of 2022, we should have a National Energy Policy. And it's going to speak to a whole lot of things, including renewable energy, energy efficiency, incentives, e-mobility, amongst others that were mentioned by Dr. George in his presentation. The Electricity Supplies Act, which was a major or linchpin in the whole movement towards renewable energy. And essentially, the Electricity Supplies Act would have removed the monopoly for electricity generation and has created an enabling environment for renewable energy self-generators, both at the domestic level, the commercial level, and for independent power producers as well. And it also takes into account regulatory measures for interconnection to the grid with the utilities company. So that has been a major game changer with regards to renewable energy penetration. And then we also have the Public Utilities Regulatory Commissions Act of 2016. And the PUC, which is the implementer of this act, is responsible for regulating of utilities rates. And in this case, the electricity is the focus now for the PUC. And as we've been told later on, they will address other utilities. The POC is also responsible for establishing the self-generator program, and that has been established. And on the website, you can gain useful information as to how you can participate in self-generator program, both as a domestic generator or a commercial generator. And they are also responsible for defining the parameters for eligibility under the self-generator program. So I would invite you to visit the website, and you'll gain a lot more information in terms of how you can be part of the self-generator program. And then we also have the National Cooling Action Plan. And this plan basically addresses the cooling sector and energy efficiency in the cooling sector. From a survey that was conducted here, it was revealed that approximately 46% of the electricity that is generated by Grenada is used for cooling. And so if we can achieve energy efficiency in the cooling sector, it means that we can significantly reduce our emissions related to cooling and draw closer to achieving the NDC targets that have been described earlier on. The National Cooling Action Plan speaks to building performance standards, so looking at energy performance standards for buildings, how buildings are to be constructed, types of materials to be used, etc. It also looked at increasing energy efficiency for refrigerating and appliance and air conditioning appliances. It has a component that deals with sustainable procurement for refrigeration and air conditioning equipment. Another section that deals with refrigerant standards and regulations. And in this regard, Grenada has already established minimum energy performance standards for refrigerating equipment and air conditioning equipment. Labeling standards for refrigerant containers. There's also a code of practice that is in place that governs the refrigeration and air conditioning sector, what technicians are supposed to do, how they have to treat refrigerants to prevent them from being released into the atmosphere. And it also has a communication component that is cross-cutting that deals with getting information out there to all of the stakeholders and targeted information as well. And then we have a number of energy efficiency labels that have already been established in conjunction with the Grenada Bureau of Standards. So already published, we have energy labeling standards for refrigerating equipment. There's also energy labeling standards for air conditioning equipment. These were published in 2022. There's also energy labeling standards that have been currently worked on for LEDs and compact fluorescent bulbs. And one that has been left out on the slide here, already established, is also energy efficiency labeling standards for electrical appliances. So things like your blenders and your fans and so on, there are also standards that have already been established for that. So there are quite a number of policies that seeks to promote the uptake and proliferation of energy efficiency and renewable energy in Grenada. Government has also moved swiftly to provide some incentives and concessions as well as subsidies to promote the uptake of these as well. And we are aware, for example, with regards to electricity cost, government has instituted a zero rating on the VAT, as well as the removal of the environmental levy on electricity consumption for domestic consumers with usage up to 500 kilowatt hours. And there's also a reduction of 20% on the non-fuel charge per kilowatt for all categories of consumers. With regards to gasoline prices, there's a cap in the cost per gallon of gasoline and diesel whenever retail prices rise above $15. So, for example, we had a recent change in the gasoline price. Had we been using the original methodology for calculating the prices would have been in excess of $15, but that cap keeps it at $15. Another incentive that has been in place is the subsidy that has been provided for 20-pound LPG cylinders. Again, we have a cap on that at $40. And again, the prices would have been in excess of that, but subsidies have been provided for that. Another one that has been very recent is that government has instituted 100% concession of duties and taxes for all solar PV off-grid and grid-tied systems, including the batteries and all other components, including the wiring, the racks, the screws, bolts, nuts, everything related to solar PV installation would now attract a 100% concession of duties and taxes. And there's also a 100% concession on duties and taxes on electric vehicles, again, in an effort to promote the uptake of those. Already established several years ago is the exemption of VAT on all energy saving bulbs, including of LEDs and compact fluorescents. There is a VAT exemption on those with regards to the VAT Amendment Act that was passed some years ago. So these are a number of incentives that have been provided, and as we move forward, I'm sure there are going to be lots more incentives that will be created. As a matter of fact, the list of items that would attract 100% concession is currently being reviewed and maybe would be released shortly to include several other solar, PV, other renewable aspects, including geothermal, wind, and hydroelectric power that will be included on that list as well. So that is in it a wrap on some of the policies and regulations currently in place, and as well as some of the incentives that have been provided by government to facilitate the uptake of renewable energy technologies and energy efficiencies to help drive the energy consumption down, to lower the cost of electricity and energy in general, and to reduce on our carbon footprint and our emissions related to the use of petroleum-based products. So I thank you very much, and I wish all a very, very informative and absorbing webinar as we've had in the previous two. And there's a lot to learn, a lot to gain, a lot to be implemented. And we trust that you would share that with your colleagues in your various ministries and institutions so that the message can be spread far and wide and we get national uptake of what will be presented in the workshop. Thank you very much, and Aiken is back to you.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for that oversight overview. I want to turn it back over to you, Dr. Rao, but to remind participants that it is an interactive session. We're here to learn, to share, and we must feel free to intervene, ask questions, seek clarifications as the presenters do their PowerPoint presentation. So we will keep our mics at mute, and we can raise our hands if we have a question, and then I will acknowledge your hands, and then we can pose a question. And feel free to share your experiences so that each of us can learn what is happening. So, Dr. Rao,
yeah,
over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Wirth. Yeah. So the session introduction to the energy and electricity concepts. We'll start with the technical session now. So energy, which is there for each and every activity, daily activities, getting up from the morning to the sleeping, while reading the book or running or bike or doing any kind of activity, you need the energy. So energy is nothing but ability to do the work as a fundamental. Next. So as I told, energy is the ability to do the capacity to do the work, and work is, it is a transfer from energy. It is a force moving a body to a certain distance is called a work. So the work and energy both are interrelated, and the power, which is nothing but a rate of change in energy, converting from one position to the other position in time, duration of the time, which is comes from the power. Power is energy divided by time, which is represented in joules per second, or in electricity, it is in watts. So this is a basic fundamental definition for the kilowatt and the kWh. The kilowatt is the rating of the appliance. You can consider what is the energy which can be required to do the work. And kWh is the energy, which is units consumed in a 1 hour period, which is the electricity, which has been metered value for paying the charges, kind of. So the other way, the joules, which is the work done. If you can see the mass, which has been in newtons, moved for a distance of in meters, which is the amount of work which has been done, which can take it as a fundamental work equation. And watts is nothing but volts into the amperage of the appliances, whatever it has been rated for. kind of. Next. So we have different forms of energy, which we see every day in, day out, like thermal energy, where you will heat up for cooking and cooking appliances, and even like a cooling for the ice cream production or anything you can say. And electrothermal energy, which you use it for the radio waves, even you can see the mobile communication and other things, which we use the electromagnetic waves generation and receiving. And electricity, which is used for lighting. Chemical energy, every day we see our even cooking and other appliances, where even fuel for the cars, where gasoline and diesel, what we use. Even the nuclear energy, which is the energy which we are getting from the sun, where we are talking about the renewable energy conversion. The mechanical energy for the movement of even the small animals to the cars and other things. So every different forms of energy, which is our daily life, we come across and we use in a different manner. Next. So the energy, whatever the source of energy which we have, which we receive in two forms. One is a renewable energy, and the other one is a non-renewable energy source of energy. Non-renewable energy source, it's a concentrated energy which is in a fossil fuels, in coal or nuclear, or the fuels which is available, which regularly we use. Even like a Grenada, in Grenada we use the fuel oil for the diesel, which is used for power generation. We have the other sources is a renewable, non-exhaustible renewable energy sources like a solar, biomass, wind, geothermal, which is also a potential geothermal in Grenada, and hydropower energy from the rivers and the other sources. So these are the different forms of energy, sources of energy where we can get. But the main energy which we use for our regular use is electrical energy, which is a very focused one, which mainly consume in a normal recent, you can say the kind of lifestyle what is expected, easy of conversion from the energy to any other form of energy. We get this electricity from both conventional and renewable energy, both non-conventional and conventional energies. The energy which has been produced, electrical energy, which will be converted into the easy way to the other forms of energy for heating, lighting, and entertainment, or even for the sound, whatever the forms we want, it can be easily transferable from one form to other form. That is why the electricity is a very superior and good, high quality energy, we can say. Next. So the electricity, when we are getting up to our user end, which will have different components, it is also have inefficiency or wastage in the energy. It is a very easy way, is analogy of the beer, where if you want to have a full glass, then there is some amount of foam which will be generated, which is nothing but the waste kind of one. But it is necessary. So electricity to transfer from the generation point to the end user, when it is coming, certain amount of loss will take place. There is a reactive power which is there, which normally to minimize, you can maintain at the good, it is called as a power factor, where active power and apparent power both should be close to the unity. Then you will get a minimum amount of losses in the transmission systems or in the appliances end. So this is just an what you can say, the electricity, when you are talking, it is not only the active power, but there is a reactive and apparent power also is a parameters which one need to know. Next. So how we decide the appliance will consume the energy? So the energy metering, which will be there at the place in the domestic house or the institution or the facility or a building. So it depends on the input power, which is the active power, which is being addressed for each individual appliance, individual equipment. That is in terms of kilowatt, which will be there. 1000 watts is nothing but a kilowatt, which is conversion rate, which normally we use. So the KW, the energy meter, which has been installed at any premises, which will record KWH that is a per hour, every hour, how much units has been consumed, which will be recorded. So input power kilowatt into time, that is a energy, is the electrical energy. 1 unit of electrical energy is one which the charges will be paid to the Grenada, like a utility, like a Grenada, which has been paid. Next. So the understanding of the electricity bill, actually we are already seen in the, Mr. Smith has been briefed us about the tariffs and how it is. Just for a glance, we can see the Grenada electricity bill. This is how the bill, there is a old bill which is in the month of April 2020, how it is. The bill appears with the both fuel and non-fuel charges. There is VAT and other charges, environmental levy, all are being described in different versions, where for a period of 30 days, between the 18th March to the 17th March, that amount of days and the consumption for that particular period of 30 days, what is the consumption, and multiplied by the units, that is a kWh, which is there, 91, multiplied by the fuel, we will get the fuel number 2, and the non-fuel, which comes from the number 1 in the marking. So it is just a domestic bill, which I am showing here as an example how it looks, and the total charges which is there, and if there is any adjustments are there, which is coming forward and backward, also has been represented in the energy bill. So this is a sample bill and the old bill. It is not the new one, which there is a certain amount of discounts has been provided by the government. Next. So these are all the components in the energy bill, which has been taken: non-fuel charges, fuel charges for the generation, and the current electricity charges. The environmental levy, which has been now taken it out, which is not there. Value-added tax for the non-fuel portion, only it will apply, and the total amount of the bill, which is both fuel and non-fuel charges multiplied by the number of units, plus the levies, if anything are there, will be the actual billing amount, kind of. Next. So this is a sample which you can consider it, and I request the participants to just to get alert and try to calculate what could be the monthly energy bill of simple appliances which are there in a house or the home. You can say there is a one television which is of 50 watts, and the operating hours is like 120 hours in a month which operates. So the energy consumption, that is A multiplication of B into C divided by 1000, that is a units conversion, because we are taking a watts of the TV, which is 6. So maybe participants can use a formula which is given below, can calculate and tell the values for the freezer, washing machine, air conditioner, and LED lights, outdoor lighting. You can get just like 2 minutes. We have 5 components, so that what is the total bill? Once the participants complete, they can put it in chat box, the values. We can take 1 minute time to do. Anybody completed the calculation? It is a just multiplication of A, B, and C divided by 1000. A is nothing but
I think you need to give them some more time, because some people would have needed to grab their calculators and so on.
Yes, yes, yeah, yes, yes, yeah.
It's a little more time.
Yeah. Okay.
So I see they have some
Yes.
participants have come with the answer. If you could voice your answers, don't be shy.
Yeah.
So what's the monthly energy consumption for the fridge? Anyone? 30. And it says 30. So let's see if 30 is correct, which is A, 1 by 120, 120 to 50, divided by 1,000.
Yeah, 30 is correct.
30 is correct.
Yeah.
Washing machine. What's the answer for washing machine?
12.
12.
Yeah.
12. Okay.
Yes.
And the LED lights. What's the answer for LED lights?
40.
Is that 40?
Yes.
LEDs 10.8.
10.8. Yes.
Sorry, 10.8.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have 3
10.8.
bulbs. Yes.
10.8. Okay. And the outdoor lighting.
24.
24.
Yeah.
24.
Yes.
24. 24.
And we all know why we divide them by 1,000, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We all understand that. Okay. So
So this is a value which we sum up all the appliances. The energy consumption of this particular building house is around 122.8 units. So you can check your readings, and the formula is also given. The next slide. Now, if we can, so we are taking as a case based on the bill what we are having at taking as 15% as a non-fuel charges for above 99 units. This is an old bill. Now VAT and environment levy is not there, but just we are doing a calculation based on the bill, fuel charges and non-fuel charges. So we are having the units for this particular building is 122.8 units multiplied by the fuel charges. Then same units multiplied by the non-fuel charges. And we have 15% of the VAT on the non-fuel charges plus 5% as a levy. So all put together, it is a $117 is the total bill amount. Now, if we see next slide. So one option, if the outdoor lamps are replaced with the solar lamps of 20 watt LED with the battery backup, so that there is no consumption, there is outdoor lighting, which is constituting 24 watts. Now the bill has come down to 98.8 kWh. So if we can input this 98.8 in the same electricity bill formula, only we'll not have below 99. There is no levy and no VAT charges and other things. So the cost for the monthly bill is 84. So the saving potential, if you can see, it is next, which is a 28% as energy savings just by converting the outdoor lamps into the solar LED lamps, kind of. So the investment cost for this particular lighting to replace is around $1,000. But if you can see the savings, what we are getting is a quite a good amount of dollars is the savings. This is how one has.
I think that's a very good example, Dr. Rao. And
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Next.
Dr. Rao, if I may, if you could go back to the table with the figures.
Yeah. Go back.
Just to demonstrate, is it that
the last one, we can see the last outdoor lighting, which is a metal halide type lamps. 2 lamps are there, which is a 40 watts, and operating hours per month is a 300, which is constituting around 24 units. Now, by replacing these outdoor lamps with the solar lamps, there is absolutely no consumption from the grid power consumption. So this 24 units has become a 0. So it is becoming below 100, 99 units only, the all other appliances consumption. so that if we are 99 and below, there is a tariff is different tariff category which is going to come up. So we need to check time to time what will be the tariff and how the tariff has been coming up. Then according to that, we can see. Generally, the lower consumption always will have a more advantages. So you can see the solar lighting. It can be done at every individual house, individual offices, everywhere it can be implementable, and which is having the good lifespan, panel and batteries and other things, which has been standardized. If you can say 3 to 4 years back, it is not having the much standards, but now you are getting the high quality product, and it can be integrated at every place. In Caribbean market, many countries, not only in Grenada, but other places also, the people are integrating the solar street lighting, solar lamps for the perimeter for many houses. So this is a good, and each and every individual. Yeah.
Yes, sorry, if I can also add, I notice you have an investment cost of $1,000.
Yeah.
But it can be even lower than that here in Grenada, because to replace
yes,
a
it can, yeah,
40-watt bulb with a solar bulb is much less than $1,000 to do it for that wattage of bulb. So the savings are even bigger in terms of the dollars, which will reduce the payback period significantly as well.
Yes.
Dr. Rao, just to recap what you said, initially we had outdoor lamps, and when we replaced with solar, we reduced the energy consumption for that month. And therefore the tariff that would be applied, because it's less than 99 kilowatt hours, is also lower.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. So next. Now we see a concept of energy efficiency and energy conservation. It is more for the awareness and what is the basic concept. The energy conservation is nothing but a behavioral change using by our actions and our activities to continuously see that less amount of energy has been consumed to do the same kind of a work. Whatever the opportunities are there, it should be. Whereas energy efficiency is using a less energy to do the same work by technology upgradation or proper utilization of the appliances with respect to the time of use and other things, or technological interventions to take place. So this is the main difference between the energy conservation and the energy efficiency. Like some examples, like turning off of the lights is an energy conservation, not an energy efficiency. And replacing the conventional lamps with LEDs, which is a government is promoting as a high efficiency program, energy efficiency program, or energy efficiency appliances replacement program. And setting up of the thermostat, which is air conditioner, which is a comfortable temperature of 24 degrees. That is a behavioral change. The people, instead of putting at 18 degrees or 20 degrees, they are changing the temperatures to a setting of 24. Then the reduction in energy takes place. That is nothing but energy conservation. And replacement of non-inverter ACs, the old air conditioners, with the high efficiency new technology of inverter based air conditioners, which is energy efficiency. So these are some of the examples. Next. Now, if you can see, there are other examples like washing machines, where the front loading versus the top loading. If you use, it is a technological change. People should know the front loading washing machine will be lesser energy saving, because less water it will take and less water energy also it will consume. Whereas the drying up of the clothes outdoor or shaded area is energy conservation opportunity, which is the behavioral change kind of. Next. So the energy efficiency and energy conservation, if you can see the other opportunities, use of high efficiency lamps, LED bulbs, which is even the standards are also there now in Grenada for the LED lamps, and use of high efficiency ceiling fans, the BLDC DC motors, DC based direct current based appliances, where the energy savings are very high, and inverter based air conditioners, that is also a type of DC integration, and induction stove, where for cooking, instead of conventional electrical stove with the induction mode, but it will use different vessels for cooking. but the consumption wise, all these technologies, what has been there, which is over 30 to 40% of the savings, which is there from the conventional appliances kind of. Whereas if you can see the behavioral changes, some examples like use of staircases, bicycles, and the sizing of the burners, cooking, even transportation, and all these are some of the items for the energy conservation. Even like if you are using for the mobile charging and other things, the solar batteries, solar charging facilities, these all the behavioral change. The people are adopted to go for the renewable energy, so it is also considered as energy conservation. Next. So the main thing, the energy is in particularly important for the economic growth, which we have seen. Everyone has been told, even during the opening remarks. So energy efficiency is the amount of energy by increasing the efficiency of the appliance with the technological change, which is coming, continuous development of products, which is taking place. And energy conservation, which is also includes the energy efficiency, but it is like turning off of the switch, which we are seeing as an example. But energy management, which is as a various steps. So you need to define, like in an institution where the awareness, knowledge, and intention of the people, and giving them the facility and training, all these things together. If you do and try to bring down the energy consumption, it is called an energy management practices. Next. Difference between the energy intensity and the energy consumption and energy conservation. If someone is taking the stairs, which is nothing but energy conservation, which we are already discussing about the habits and practices. The next. So efficient use of energy. If you have a lift where minimum 4 members or 3 members can take the lift, which is having the capacity, if you're using for full capacity, full utilization you are doing with the minimum amount of energy or base energy which it will take, that is an efficient way of using. Or if the people are single person using the lift, it is nothing but you are adopting the energy intensive process. So if you can see in your daily activities, you can find out different aspects, whether you are adopted the energy intensive process or energy efficient process, or you are doing energy conservation by doing certain kind of an activity in your own way. Next. Even the transport, the energy consumption for the transport sector is very high, even in Grenada. Now, if you can see adaptation like walking or bicycle using, maybe the energy conservation mode, if it is the nearest where it is possible, if somebody is going. And use of efficient way is nothing but a small car or a hatchback car, which is not like a pickup where the mileage is less mileage for the gallon of fuel, which will give. So the adaptation, how you will adopt your strategy and what kind of vehicles you buy. Even now, the government is promoting the electric vehicles with the removal of taxation kind of, you can see. And you have different benefits by adaptation of energy conservation, both national level, at the individual level, even at the global level, which has been that is why the NDCs, the nationally determined contributions, the energy efficiency playing a key role. Next. So if you can see the energy cost, the availability, the scarcity, when we are taking the recent weeks, when there is a war is between the other two countries, which is Russia and Ukraine, there is an entire globally where various countries are facing the shortage of the fuel. That is a kind of, if you are depending more on the fuels, fossil fuels, this is an issue. And the cost also is varying, fluctuating continuously between, it has reached even the barrel to $120 US dollars, and the environmental impact which is there. But the economic growth is a continuous process for every country, so growth will be there. So one way of meeting the demand. Energy demand is energy efficiency is a must. It's a continuous process. It is not that 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, by 2025 we do, it will not. It is a continuously, people have to adopt the energy efficiency methods and practices. So as on date, if we can adopt in the Grenada's, this one, at least 5 megawatts of the electrical power itself, we can able to bring it down by energy efficiency measures alone, kind of.
Dr. Rao, I was thinking as you presented the example with this with the elevator,
yeah,
to take it more more locally, everyday use. For example, I think you can say you use less energy if you iron all your clothes at once, instead of ironing individual clothes.
Yeah.
Or perhaps if you're using a washing machine, that you wash a big bulk of clothes instead of using a washing machine. I just wanted to relate that back to your example with the elevator.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
One person versus 3.
Yes.
So so if you could
Yeah.
continue that.
Yeah. So we actually we need to highlight. We need to maybe like take a notebook and note down some of the activities what we do, whether it will fall under the category of energy intensive or energy efficient method we are following, so that at the end of the day, after 1 week or 10 days, all the activities, when you summarize, you yourself will find, and there is a low cost measure which will come out during our exercise. Yeah, next slide. So the energy management, one has to look into all the angles, wastage of energy, where it is taking place, and use of minimum energy consumption for the activity. And as I told, energy intensity is there, where we are using high energy intensive process, we are consuming more, where there is a scope. We need to check this energy management as a tool. It is not a one-time job. It is every periodically we have to check, or maybe monthly once or 6 months once, depending upon the type and type of energy use. One can look. There is a using of the minimum quantity of energy for doing the tasks, different tasks. Next. So now this is the energy pyramid. The approach is for any facility, either it's a hotel or resort or a building or any even institution or a public building. The basic startup is like as usually whatever the activities are going in and around, try to first identify the energy conservation measures where without any investment, like switching off of the bulbs. Even last session we are seeing there are government buildings where there is a lighting arrangements which are there that 24 hours the lights are being on, because there is only single switch is there, which is for the first floor, second floor and the ground floor kind of. So you need to identify the ways how we can cut down the measure energy with the practices, whether you can integrate the new switches in that one, so that all the employees, when they're leaving the office, they can switch off the appliances. Even like we have seen many places, the water coolers which are there during the weekends, when Saturday and Sunday, when the people are not there, actually these coolers, water coolers in the offices can be switched off from the plug itself, so that the power can be saved. So each facility, one need to identify their own consumption, where it is happening and how it is happening. That is the first step. Then you can go for the next as energy efficiency, where there is a new items can be integrated, new retrofits can be done, where you can have a motion sensors or some kind of a automation or timers can be integrated. Those kind of energy efficiency retrofits can be integrated as a second step. By doing the energy efficiency and energy conservation, one need to bring down the energy consumption, kWh, of the facility or appliance. Then we can look forward for the remaining energy, where the renewable energy can be integrated. Then only the cost optimization will be there. If without doing energy conservation or energy efficiency directly, if you are trying to go for renewable energy, then cost economics will not work out, and it is not a really a sustainable approach. One can understand from this particular energy pyramid. Okay, next. So why the energy efficiency has not been taking place? If you can see, it is basically who manages this energy in a particular facility. If it's only responsibility of the electrical department or somebody who is looking after the electricity, then they don't know what is the end user requirements and how they are operating, how they need kind of. So there is a stakeholder. See, all people should be participatory role should be there. It is not only the people who are managing the electricity, but even the people who are working by using these appliances and equipment. They also should provide the inputs and other things. Then you have to draw a standard operating procedure, SOPs, for each of the appliance, how it should be operated and what it is. Then it can be created. It should be informed to all the employees, all the staff. Then they start working, kind of. But sometimes the energy efficiency inefficiency is built in the system because of the vendors, where they promote the appliances to sell whatever is available for them. But one need to look like a minimum performance, minimum energy efficiency performance, what has been provided, like air conditioners and refrigerators market. Those kind of standards can be one has to look before procurement, rather than leaving it for the vendors market, kind of. So these are the things one has to look it up. Next.
This hits home a lot to Dr. Rao. Incidents, especially in the government buildings. I don't know how it is in Grenada.
Yeah.
But there's no individual champion in any specific ministry that looks at energy efficiency and ensures that it's done on a daily or weekly basis. So there's an energy department, and then you have a ministry that looks over maintenance for all government buildings. But there's no specific person. I'm speaking specifically for St. Vincent. I'm not sure what it is in Grenada, and you could feel free, Leslie or anyone in the ministry, to echo if it's in Grenada. But there's no one specifically that actually monitors or ensures energy efficiency practices in the building. So you have, at any one point in time, you may have a condition on and a window open, or you may have all the lights on all day, all night, you know? And what happens is that because the government bill is so high, it also drives up the demand on fuel, which drives up the overall cost of fuel imports. So everybody pays for it in the long run.
So from the participants, is there any comment on the use of their facility? How you have your standard operating practices? Collectively, you are taking a decision, or individually, people are taking the decisions for energy efficiency? Any comments?
Hello.
So,
yeah.
Dr. Rowe, while you formulate the comments, let me just say something with regards to what's been happening on the government side.
Yeah.
Several years ago, the Energy Division took an initiative to establish energy focal points in the different ministries. And then these focal points would be responsible for sort of policing or enforcing or monitoring or providing information as to how energy can be managed at the various institutions and various departments of government ministries. I recall also that several energy exhibitions were held within the Ministry of Finance, just to highlight some of the energy efficient appliances and so on that I use. I think the biggest issue that we have within the government sector is the use of electricity in terms of the behavioral actions of the people in the workplace, in terms of not turning off lights, the use of the refrigerators, the use of the microwaves, the photocopiers, etc. And it goes back also not only to behavioral use, but also in the design of the buildings and the the electrical circuits and so on, and the amount of glass to wall and the type of wall and the orientation. So they are very, very much energy intensive buildings. And then when you couple that with the behavioral use of the people in the workspace, then that is another issue. For example, you may go inside of a government department and everybody there is wearing a sweater or a cardigan or something to keep them warm. That alone tells you that the thermostat is set at the wrong temperature. And so you have a lot of energy wastage. Okay? People is trying to keep themselves warm. So obviously that the air conditioner is set too low. And then you have situations where windows are kept open because the ventilation in the room is not good. So it might be smelling a little moldy, stuffy. So the air conditioner is running, but the window is open.
Yeah.
Then what has also happened within the ministerial complex, for example, the original internal design of the building has significantly changed. So whereas it was basically open spaces, now you have a lot of cubicles being constructed. And so these cubicles go all the way up to the ceiling. So you will find that one person in a cubicle is very, very cold because the vent is right over their head. And the person next door to them is very hot because there is no vent bringing fresh air or conditioned air to them. And so they will keep their doors open, trying to get some cool air or fresh air. And we have all those different kind of dynamics, plus inadequate repairs and so on, where ceilings have been done and not been replaced, and maintenance schedule of the equipment. So a number of issues would dictate high energy consumption and related costs. But I think what we have done under different projects is that we have done some project proposals where we have done energy audits and then looking at the investment to replace, retrofit, and to implement the energy saving measures. So that is under the consideration of government now for implementation.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
One last thing, Dr. Rao. I did hear you say that energy conservation is a behavioral change. And very often in any work environment, it's about attitude. And what you find happening is you have a work environment, whether it is in the government, whether it is in a hotel, whether it is in a business. You have employees or people who work in these institutions who will have the attitude that I am not paying this utility bill, and therefore it is not my concern to be energy energy be conservative. What happens is that, and we need to understand this, is that if we don't conserve, we then have to import more fuel. And if you import more fuel, because everybody shares the fuel price, everybody pays the price for energy inefficiency. So it is very important that when we speak of energy conservation, it's a collective effort. So it doesn't matter if it is your utility bill, you will end up paying for it because you end up paying your fuel surcharge. I just wanted to know.
Yeah, I think we have two participants raised with it. So, Mr. Joseph.
Hi, thank you very much, Doc. And I just want to associate myself with the comments made by the two previous speakers, and just to also highlight that one of the challenges also is in the context of procurement of the various pieces of equipment, be it a microwave, be it a copy printer, air condition, new air condition unit or whatever. So sometimes there isn't centralization in terms of the decision-making process. So, you know, each ministry or division have dominion and decision-making powers on their own behalf, and they do not necessarily consult with the experts in the area in the context of energy efficiency and all the things that we are discussing. And they basically just go out on the open market and just purchase what is available or what they perceive is the better or the cheaper price, but it's not necessarily the better piece of equipment relative to the efficiency and facilitating the savings that we are discussing. So I think the Energy Division had undertake some activity with the procurement unit in an effort to raise awareness on these issues and attempt to centralize the consultative process with the Energy Division, who could provide the technical backstopping in terms of information to facilitate more informed decision making. So Mr. Smith was quite central in trying to facilitate those things. So I think initiatives like what we are having here today will help to really raise the awareness of stakeholders on these kinds of issues, and perhaps there is need for even much more of that on a broader scale. But indeed, the role that education and awareness and training can contribute to this change in behavior, I think that's a good thing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I agree with Mr. Joseph. The public procurement process should have energy efficiency in place. The appliances and other things which is available in domestic market, taking into the account the public procurement specifications and standards can be adjusted.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yes. Absolutely, very true. Morning, everyone. Victor here from Public Procurement Unit. And what has been just said there is quite true. We had some bits of discussions with the Energy Department, but certainly I believe a lot more needs to be done. Our biggest difficulty from procurement is that we know that there are a number of items there that we can procure, but what we do not know is what is the specifications, what standards should be acceptable, because there are energy saving equipment there are many sustainable equipment, and so, but we do not know, or we are not familiar with what would be the right quality, what is the maximum level of efficiency, what are the various specifications that would make the give you the best value for money, considering everything, including energy. And that is one of the biggest issues we have in procuring many items, photocopiers and printers and many other items. For the air conditioning units, we kind of we know for now that those that are what you call have an inverter would be what at least is a minimum we're starting off with, but there still may be more specs that would be required if we are to procure air conditioning units as fully at the right quality and the right price.
Yeah. Thank you. I think we have Mr. Rashid. You have something?
Yes. Thank you very much for your informative presentation. Just I would like to bring your attention to a very important topic, which is enforcing energy policy or energy policies and so in the related organizations, or such as in hospitals or schools. Like in my organization, we have an energy policy. I would call it implied energy policy. Anyone, the last one who will leave the office, he have to turn off the sockets or to turn off the switches. If the same policy, this energy policy or efficiency policy implied in multiple sectors, such as hospitals, schools, SMEs, small and intermediate companies and firms, there will be a beneficial benefits, like how much they will cut from the energy cost and from the energy production, as well how much they will increase in saving money and saving the environment by reducing CO2 emissions. And that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rashid. So we'll proceed to the next slide. Athar? Yeah. So to overcome the challenges as we are from the different participants. We got the feedbacks, and the same here. I also mentioned draw and outline an energy vision for each facility, either it's a hospital, building, school, facility, and compliance with the local standards, local act, whatever has been there, you can take, and convince all the stakeholders and jointly make an effort and set targets for whatever your consumption, present consumption, and see how we can bring it down by 2%, 5%, 10%, and verify that one through the verification process you can draw. And if required, take the external help from the experts. Then look forward for ISO 50000 is energy standards which is available. Every facility can draw up their action plan and get a certification towards work towards the ISO 50000. That itself shows energy efficiency drive will take place. And the monitoring plan based on the metering facilities available can be drawn for each of the individual facilities. Okay, next. So this is the air conditioning. As we have seen, the 46% of the Grenada's energy has been consumed in the cooling side, air conditioning side. So how these gaps are, how the inefficiency has been coming, and where one is mainly the no operational control, setting up of the temperatures. Nobody controls the increase or decrease kind of one in the air conditioners, just keeping on and off kind of a mode. And poor maintenance is one of the factors, and the high specific energy consumption due to various low refrigerant quantity, high refrigerant quantity, high pressure, low pressure, various factors. And the poor envelope inside the building, where even the AC is on, there is a leakages from the doors and the bottom of the doors, windows leakages kind of with the most of the existing buildings. There are few commercial complexes and other things where high efficiency equipments people will buy and they put it in place. But even if you can see the type of operation, there is a gaps in the operation, what best it can give and how we are operating, those kind of items which lead to the higher energy consumption, and the maintenance practices and the monitoring plan which lacks, that also leads to the high energy consumption. So next. If you can see, this is how there are many buildings. If you can go and see across, where outdoor units are being kept in the, see the Grenada is like a coastal place where the temperatures are like 30 degrees, 32 degrees is the temperature with high humidity kind of. Where if you are having the outdoor unit without a shade, outdoor unit itself will become very hot during the summer, the sunny temperature. And if that itself has become hot, then how it will affect to cooling, it will pass on to the refrigerant. So that is the issue. So there should not be open-ended outdoor units. It should be kept under a shade. Then there should not be any restriction. Say there should be airflow should be free airflow should be there to the outdoor unit. That is also an important aspect. One need to look that they may be fixing on the walls or rooftops, wherever they are fixing, but outdoor unit, not only from the heating, sun heating, but also there is a, if the weather, if it is a continuously rainfall and other things is passing on the outdoor unit, there also the life of the unit also will come down, rusting and other things will take place in the units. People must have been observed. So it is a good that if somebody is buying the air conditioning units and other things, they need to take care of the outdoor unit, because that is only the outside. Indoor unit will be kept on the inside one, but by doing the shading and other thing itself, 5 to 8% energy can be saved in some of the places. One need to look into this particular angle. Next. So we have like example of a hotel which we have defined, like where there is a ground floor, first floor and second floor, which are the high energy intensive areas. For the kitchen, for the LPG consumption, and the diesel generator where the diesel has been used, and lighting for the corridors based on the continuous usage. One has to map any building or any facility like where the high energy intensity and low energy intensity is there. Next. Once after mapping up of the energy consumption, then you can have you have to identify what could be the probable reasons, and how you can monitor, and what kind of loss or wastage which is taking place, like guest rooms and common areas, high energy consumption in ACs, like kitchen where LPG and charcoal is the high energy consumption, utility room is the diesel is a consumption, and guest rooms apart from the air conditioning, even water heaters and geysers. So you need to identify each location, what kind of energy has been used and which appliance has been used. You can have a chart like this. Then next. So once you have the identified the energy intensive, so what could be the possible areas how we can do switching over to energy efficient ACs? Then it is a calls for an investment. What could be, then you need to look into the vendors and availability, other things. Then use of natural ventilation, avoid the ACs in common areas, that could be done without any investment. Then providing the training to the kitchenware staff, know how to use switching off of the low flame, high flame, what kind of cooking we are doing, how it has been. So that is, there is no energy, there is no finance required, but existing equipment itself, the best practices can be looked. Then use of solar water heaters for the geysers, guest rooms, if feasibility is there, where a good rooftop is available, or a heat pump is a high efficiency systems, which is available with the low energy intensive process of water heating, which can be looked as an investment option. And use of motion sensors for switching off, that is not a really big investment. So you can have what is the investment which is required, which is a low cost, medium cost, high cost, can be categorized, and who is responsible for each of these particular areas, who will take the ownership for implementation and monitoring, that can be assigned. So that kind of action plan one can derive. Next. So after the air conditioning, the next predominant energy consumption in the public buildings or the residential or outdoor, the lighting. So one need to look from the design stage itself, any new building is coming up or existing building when you are retrofitting, the kind of things which one can look, efficient lighting system, more of daylight integration for all the levels, at the most not to get the lights to be on, that kind of a designs, whether it can be done. There are a lot of techniques are available, and retrofits are available now. So that can be looked. Then efficient lamps, LEDs is a main nowadays, which is available in the markets with a good price. So using of luminaires where brightness to increase, that is also another area. And efficient controls need to be integrated, occupancy sensors, daylight sensors, even timers for some places where weekends and other things to control, and other things you can do. That kind of opportunities also do exist in the lighting. And the task lighting, if there is a big room where only 1 or 2 people are been using, but the entire floor has been operated through 1 or 2 lighting switches, where the task lighting also can be integrated. So these are the means, ways and means one can look in the lighting. So air conditioning and lighting, they are the 2 prominent ones in the public buildings and training institutions. Next. So the air conditioning as an example, how we have seen the pyramid earlier, the same way one can look into the split air conditioners or window air conditioners or smaller air conditioner. First and foremost is housekeeping measures, monitoring and analyzing the energy consumption. These are the things is the first base. Then look into the efficiency, what way we can control more efficient method, equipment or refrigerant change. Those kind of things can be looked. Then ultimately you can see whether the solar air conditioning for that kind of a capacity, if it is a smaller capacity, if it is a bigger capacities, it's a very difficult. Solar will be very expensive, it will be. So you need to look the last option as a solar air conditioning. So that is how one need to drive the energy efficiency towards the renewable energy. Next. Ms. Smith, you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the slide with the pyramid. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I think one other important consideration that we need to look at here is, even before we get to the base of the pyramid, before we get to the efficiency and the conservation, is to first of all look at the avoidance of having to use AC. That should be the first step. In the sense that you can design your buildings or you can design your rooms so that you can use natural ventilation and avoiding having to use energy for cooling. If you are in a situation where that cannot be done, then you look at the other aspects of the pyramid that you have on screen here. But in the past several years ago, buildings were designed in such a way that they maximize the use of airflow. And so it allowed for natural ventilation and cooling of the buildings. And this is practiced today in some areas. So it's something that needs consideration when people are designing buildings to maximize the use of the natural ventilation. And the same applies for lighting. We have sunlight every day, and yet still we don't make adequate use of it. We still construct buildings that have to be lighted in the day. So both for lighting and cooling, we need to consider how we can use those natural elements before we look at mechanical ventilation or air conditioning and artificial lighting.
Yeah. So thank you, Mr. Smith. Just to support Mr. Smith's view, our office, the Energy and Resources Institute, you can go through, if somebody is having the time, they can go through the website of our institution. All our buildings are passive architecture buildings. The building which we stay in Bangalore in India, we have a moderate climate. Our temperatures are like a 30 to 35 degrees temperature or ambient with a 60% humidity kind of one. But our building without AC, which operates with the plus or minus of 5 degrees lower than the outdoor conditions, the inside building. And the building is not which is not a modern building. We have built this building in 1999. That is almost like a 25 years back. And even still today, without air conditioning, only for the conference room, we use the air conditioning. Apart from that, no office space, no, without AC. And we have a fully natural air conditioned space. You can, anybody is interested, they can go to the website and they can see our building features. It is one of the best architectured building in India itself, kind of. Next slide. So the energy use, whenever we are using the energy, one has to look into the aspect of where it is needed and when it is needed and how much is needed and what quality of energy we are using for that particular application or use. So one has to put these questions themselves before use, or you list down your activities and try to mark how you are being done. Because once you put this question yourself, you yourself will get into the, come to the answer. There is some scope exists. That kind of a confidence will be built by this exercise itself. Next. So the 5 T's for energy conservation is a very important. One can look into the any of their actions or appliance what they are using. You can look into the option of turning it off where it is possible, like UPS systems or switching off from the instead of remote switching like a TV, you can plug it off from the main switches. You need to see where there is a scope for turning it off, the items. That is an important one. And turning it down is nothing but temperatures. When you are using for the heating appliances where microwave and other things, what is the best, lowest temperature for the heating elements one need to look. And turning it up, like which we are talking about the thermostats for the air conditioning, what best higher temperatures, normal temperature set for the air conditioner from the manufacturers, it will be 18 degrees kind of one, which normally we apply at 21, 22 kind of one. But if we can able to make with the comfort clothing and other things, if 24, then that is a reduction in the energy consumption. And turn around, it's nothing but you need to look into the appliances, what best is available within your own set of use for the same purposes. And turn it out, it is nothing but old and inefficient, mainly like motors and other things where it has been burned for 2 or 3 times and still you want to use that, it causes the high energy consumption. So you can look into the what is the best way when it should be turned it out. You have to face off that particular appliance or equipment and go for the new one that need to be decided. So this is a 5T concept which for the energy conservation it is a very important one. Next. Then as we are seeing, there is a high efficiency product which is available in markets, and minimum performance has been set by the government as a policy, and standards are being brought into the place for the air conditioners and refrigerators and LEDs. As a CARICOM itself is developing the standards, and Grenada is already adopted the high efficiency equipment in place, the standards. So procurement for mainly as we are discussing the public procurement as a startup, one can look for the minimum performance, and even like air conditioners, the high efficiency with the air conditioners already demonstrated and which has been in place and there are being sold in the local market. Next. EV is which is definitely going to pick up in the next coming 2 to 3 years across the Caribbean or entire global scale. Even like in India, we see every day the new EV company has been starting up. The new companies are coming up with the 2-wheelers, 4-wheelers, and even transport vehicles and other things. And in the Caribbean market, what we have found, the import vehicles cost, good, comfortable vehicle is around $40,000 US, which is there. And the payback period, if you work out with the gasoline and the EV with the grid power cost, there is a good amount of cost savings, running cost also is there. And if depending upon the type of use, the number of kilometers and other things, one can look, the payback period is working out almost close to the 4 years kind of one for the today's cost, where depending upon the public, the government institutions, if they are having some 4 or 5 vehicles, they can have their own charging station and they can start using the electrical vehicles. Some model can be defined. As it is an island where there is a certain distance only is there. The distance, how every day the kilometers of use of the vehicles can be monitored for a certain period, and definitely the EVs can be integrated in the public, the government institutions. That is a strong, I feel. Next. So the exercise for an interactive session. So as what we have been taught the last 1 hour, just to have a recap on that one. So what is important to collect during the home energy audit from the monthly electricity bill? Anybody in a chat box, you can put your answers. We have seen the energy bill. I shown the sample bill. And we are seen for 30 days, this is a limit of consumption is there and the cost is there. So what is important in the electricity bill? Is it a cost or it a energy consumption? Anyone from the participants? So answer will be kWh is the answer. Consumption is important because the cost will vary. The cost, fuel cost, non-fuel cost, there are parameters, but one need to look into the energy, whether we are bringing down our energy consumption in the house by doing something and other things. The kWh is only going to tell more than the value. Next question. Yes, equipment power consumption. Every household, if they start solar-based LED lamps, if they are purchasing for their perimeter lighting and security lighting, what it is it an energy efficiency measure or energy conservation measure? So there is a energy efficiency and energy conservation, more energy efficiency. You can see actually the LED itself is an energy efficient lamp. compared to the conventional lamps of CFL or fluorescent lamps. When we are adopting, as I told, the electrical mobile chargers or anything mobile, the solar, if the people are started adopting the solar renewable energy for their own use, it is nothing but the practice of energy conservation, this particular thing. Next question.
Dr. Rao,
Yeah.
before you move on, perhaps maybe it'll be useful if you can just go through again the difference between the energy efficiency definition and energy conservation.
Yeah. So as we have discussed, the energy conservation is a behavioral change, adaptation by the individuals, how we are taking it by our habits or approach for the task what we are doing, kind of. So in this particular case, where we are converting, means we are entirely changing the LED, high efficiency LED lamp into a solar renewable side we are going. So our practice, our approach, we are changing. Our behavioral is towards the renewable energy kind of one. So that's why we are calling it as an energy conservation measure. Next. So what type of electricity end users are
everyone?
Yeah, please.
Yes, good question two. Question two, you say every home purchase solar-based lamp for perimeter lighting. It means the household promotes, and the answer is energy conservation. But could it be both conservation and efficiency, because the LED lights are said to be more efficient than some of the other lighting also. So could it be both conservation and efficiency?
Yes, as I told, the LED lamp itself is an high efficiency, no energy efficiency it is there. Only thing is, if the household is habituated, means they are trying to go for purchase of the solar based LED, that is nothing but their inclination towards the energy conservation. So definitely it is an energy efficient measure. Energy efficiency has been already incorporated in the solar LED lamp. Yeah. Okay. So which type of end users are predominant in Grenada? Is it like industrial, residential, commercial, or institutional? Who is the predominant consumers? End users. It's a very simple one, simple question. Type of end user?
Residential.
Residential, yes. Is a residential end users. There are around 40,000, 42,000 residential connections, electricity connections are there. They are the predominant one. Yes. The next question. Okay. So we have some questions. Probably these questions one can answer, or whether you can prepare yourself for tomorrow. You can decide. What are some of the challenges for your building or facility which you face, and whether the energy audits, some buildings has been already conducted the energy audit, which has been told, and the steps taken, any key measures people are taken for reducing the energy in their houses or their facilities, which can I. So why we are keeping this question is like a summarization of even 10 participants gives what they are doing. That is nothing but that kind of practices can be followed by others. Kind of that itself is a good awareness camp. It will become, because what we implement in other countries and other places may not apply sometimes to the Grenada, but taking into the account of the local circumstances, temperatures, climate, and other availability of the items, some measures will derive from the local markets. So the collective effort of the people, if they put the answers, probably if they can chat box, they can give some of the measures and other things. We can consolidate, the ministry can consolidate and take it forward for the greater awareness of those measures.
Dr.
Yeah.
Rao and Ellsworth, if I may, I'd just like to propose that we take a 5-minute break and we allow the participants to perhaps consider these questions. And then when we return from the break, we will
Sure.
hear from them.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's resume at 11:10.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Ellsworth.
All right, thanks.
Dr. Rao, can you leave the questions up on the screen so that while participants are having their break, they can view the
Sure,
questions?
sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll put in the questions.
That cannot work.
Okay, so welcome back. So before the break, we had some questions that the participants also think about, and I would like to hear some response from the participants in terms of some of the energy challenges that they face within their facility. So if anyone could start volunteering, if you can unmute your mic, provide some response to question number one. What are some of the things that you think that you face within your facility, your building? Anyone? Someone has their mic.
Hi.
Yeah.
Also, one of the challenges that we have is the wasting of energy. Oftentimes when people leave the office to go for lunch or to go to another site or something, they still have the AC unit running in the individual offices, and the lights are also on as well.
Okay. Which ministry are you speaking from?
Not ministry, TAMCC.
You're part of what?
TAMCC, TM Maritime Community College.
Oh, I see, the college. Okay. Okay, thank you. So these are individual units in each room.
Yes.
Yeah,
and another example, like in my room, for example, in my office, there's a kind of louvered unit at the bottom of the door. So the energy constantly escapes.
Yes.
Yeah. While the AC is on, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that being a challenge. And that is why earlier we said it's an attitude. And you'll find this if you were at your own home, you'll be very conscious of not doing that. Right? You'll be very conscious of not doing that. But we have a mentality where once we're not paying that particular utility bill, then we're not aware to conserve. So I think from a policy standpoint, your facility needs to raise the awareness to the point where people realize that if they don't conserve, even at their workplace, they end up paying with it at their home anyway. Someone has their mic on. I'm hearing a lot of feedback. Can you mute your mic if you're not speaking, because we're having a lot of feedback, sorry. So thanks for your contribution. Anyone else want to share their experience in their building, the facility, and their sector?
Hi, good morning again, everyone. My name is Callistus Edwards. I'm representing New Life Organization. And what I would see, and sometime with the energy, I just say probably management, what happens sometimes when you implement certain new things that would that's supposed to save energy, sometimes people get careless in the fact that they think that it gives them more room to be careless in the use of energy. Because I know for at work, we would have installed some 100 kilowatts of solar in the effort to try and reduce our electric bill. And in the process, at the same time with the installation of the solar system, what we would have seen is that there would have been an increase in the number of in some of the number of items that energy consumption items. So for example, when we started, before the system was installed, we had, let me say, probably 4 air conditioning units. Now our air conditioning unit total probably is now almost 20. We would have had a new building constructed and stuff like that. And what I would have seen is that I think that they were more careless in the use of energy than being careful after that had happened.
That's a very good point, and that happens, and that even happens to the best of us. We if you install sometimes a LED light, for instance, people tend to believe that they can leave the lights on longer. If you install solar on your house roof, people tend to believe that they can waste energy. So it is a real challenge, and thank you for recognizing that. And again, I think one of the reasons that we should first conserve, then go into energy efficiency. So we should start with the energy conservation mentality, the attitude, the behavior. And once we have that, then when we move into energy efficiency and renewable energy, we have an understanding of energy conservation. So it's very important that we start with the energy conservation first. So thanks for your contribution. Very, very good point. Anyone else? Okay, so let's go to question number 2. Have anyone, the participants, ever conducted an energy audit at the facility? Or do you have an understanding what entails an energy audit? Have you ever done it for yourself, or attempting to do it? Anyone? Have you ever done an energy audit of your home? I know this is not a webinar for the homes, but I just trying to get an idea of anybody taking the time out to do an audit for themselves and see where the energy is being wasted and how they can save energy. Anyone amongst the participants have conducted energy audit within the facility? Well, I guess silence means no one has done an energy audit. So
morning again.
Yes.
Yes, I would not say, probably I wouldn't say I've done energy audit to say as audit, because I've never gone into those things into details. But one of the things as an electrician, what I have done in my most recent installation is that I would always encourage customers as to lighting for security lighting and stuff like that, outside lighting, to use solar, right? So normally we install the solar spotlights for outside, because as I would say to them, it's not making any sense for somebody to for you to leave on a light for security purposes at night that consumes energy. So sometimes it's best that you use a solar light where basically the only cost is to install. Right, so this is one of the suggestions that I would normally do for customers, is that they use solar lighting for outside lighting and opposed to connecting to the installation itself.
Well, that's very good advice. I want the easiest thing to do for energy audit from your home is to locate your meter, take off all the electrical appliances and whatever is using energy. And then you can first start with your refrigerator. So you turn on the refrigerator and you check your meter after 1 hour. And after that 1 hour, you will see what that refrigerator is consuming within that 1 hour. Because the utility bill is in kilowatt hour. And that's why I'm using 1 hour. So in 1 hour, you'll have an idea what that refrigerator is consuming. And then you could do this exercise for the lights and other things that you believe consume a lot of energy. And you'll have an idea. I recall that there was an AC unit that was installed at my home. And my energy bill was quite high. I couldn't figure out what was causing the energy bill to be so high. Then I did the exercise myself and realized that the AC unit that was being installed was not functioning well. And that was consuming about $10 per day, EC. $10 EC per day. So I told the installer that this AC unit is not working properly because it shouldn't be working like that. So some exercises like that really will help you. And then you can extend this sort of exercise to your facility and you could figure out exactly without hiring an auditor where your energy consumption is. However, within this webinar, we will help you and we'll demonstrate the best way to do an audit. And this is what this webinar is about, to help the participants learn about what is involved in an energy audit and how to conduct their own energy audit. So I'm hoping at the end of the webinar, everyone has an understanding how to do it themselves.
Deacon, I want to add something, please.
Go ahead, Leslie.
All right, colleagues, one of the basic things you can also do with reference to doing just this simple audit at your homes is to purchase what we call a kilowatt meter or an energy meter. And we have them available here in Grenada for about $60 to $65. It's a plug-in device that you can plug into any of your electrical outlets and then plug your appliance into it. And it can read various things for you. It can read for you the amount of electricity that the equipment is using at the time. It also logs it so it can give you at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month. You can put in the current electricity cost. You can program that into it and it will calculate to you how much dollars that piece of equipment is costing you to operate for the given time. And I'm going to turn my camera on just to show you, like I have one in my hand here. I can't see my camera, so I'm not sure if you've seen it. If you're not seen it, please let me know. This is the device I'm talking about. It's a kilowatt meter that you can buy at any of the major appliance shops or electrical shops. So please let me know if you're seeing it. Everybody seen it?
Yes, we see it.
Right, so this is a kilowatt meter that costs about $60-something to $70 that you can actually plug into your outlets and then plug your electrical appliance into it. This screen here reads out for you the wattage, the cycles, the volts, the energy consumption in terms of kilowatt hours, and the cost. So you can actually put the cost in there and it can calculate for you what it costs to run that equipment for based on the length of time that you have it plugged into the device. So it's maybe a first step in the energy auditing process for you. So if you want to know what your fridge is consuming, you plug your fridge into the outlet, you plug your fridge into this here, it's going to read at an instant to you what the fridge is consuming. You can do the same for your fan. And fans are a killer, I can tell you. At your homes, on average, a fan would run at about $1 a day. On average, right? A 90-watt fan would run about maybe 80 to 85 cents a day. And if you run that for a month, then you know you're bothering to $25, close to $30 in a fan alone. And some homes have more than one fan, and they keep them running as long as 12 hours from the time they get home to the time they wake up in the morning. So fans are something that you should really consider its usage. And as the the presenter was saying, there are these DC fans now that can be used that drastically cut the consumption of electricity. So these are what consideration. But if you can afford it, you can pick up these little kilowatt meters, and they make a huge difference in terms of you understanding how your equipment is working and how much energy it consumes. Just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Leslie.
I have a question. I just wonder with NTRC for Mr. Smith. Does that machine also read the converted energy, like with a converter?
I'm not sure if I understand the question, but it reads for you in kilowatt hours.
Okay, so I meant like if you're using a different currency, a different current.
Yes, so it gives you the voltage. This one is designed for 220 volts, but there are other models for 110 volts. And it also gives you the cycle. So it tells you if it's 50 hertz or 60 hertz. And then it gives you the wattage that the equipment is using and its kilowatt consumption as well. So it does that watts to kilowatt conversion for you.
Okay, thanks.
I'm not sure if that answers your question, but that's what the machine can do.
Okay.
Yes, it answers my question.
Okay, so I'm aware of time, so I'm going to skip the question 3 because we're going to cover that. I'll ask the presenter to continue. Dr. Rao?
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yeah, come on.
Yes. So, hi, I am Yatharth Kumar Sharma, and I am Associate Fellow with Energy and Resource Institute. And I'm also a certified energy manager with the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Ministry of Power. And I'm going to take session 3, conduct of an energy audit. So in session 3, we are going to learn about what is energy audit, why it is important, what is the importance of energy audit, and different instruments or instruments required to do the energy audit. And finally, we will see different steps or different stages of the energy audit. So the first is, what is energy audit? And like we all know, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Hence, whatever energy we consume is converted into useful energy, useful part. But during this conversion, some part of the energy get lost. For example, like a fan. In fan, we have electric motor. That electric motor, it will consume electrical energy. And that electrical energy, it convert into rotating energy. It will rotate the fan. But while converting electrical energy into rotating energy, some part of the energy get lost in the form of heat. Similarly, like our tube lights, that tube light also consume electric energy and it convert into that illumination we are able to see because of tube light. But during this conversion, some part of the energy get lost. So the energy audit is an activity or process to reduce the losses along with energy consumption without affecting the overall output. So what is energy audit? Energy audit is reducing the energy consumption or reducing the losses without affecting the overall output. For example, like if you want to read and you are reading just to save the energy, you are reading in dark or only with like a minimum lux. That is not useful. You are affecting the output. So by maintaining the overall output, we have how to reduce the energy consumption. That is energy audit. So energy audit is defined as the verification, monitoring, and analysis of energy use. And it also includes submission of the technical report, which will include all the recommendations to reduce the energy consumption, and what is the cost benefit analysis, and what is like payback period, what is the financial benefit of implementing any energy saving measures. So now why we need energy audit? So like if we talk about any industry or any facility, the 3 top operating expenses are energy, labor, and material. Labor and material we can't compromise, but even with energy also we can't compromise, but we can reduce the energy consumption by changing our behavior or by changing the technology. So the only way to reduce the energy cost or the overall operating cost of any facility is by reducing the energy consumption without affecting the final output. And this can be done by doing in-depth analysis of the energy consumption pattern and find potential of energy saving which is exist within the facility. For example, like one of the participant from a college, university, madam said, during lunchtime, colleagues will leave their room and they will go for lunch, and lights and ACs will be switched on. So that is like that is the loss. So to identify what are the different areas where loss is happening and how to reduce that particular loss, that for that we require the energy audit. Hence, energy audit will help to understand how energy, both either electrical energy or thermal energy, are used, and to identify where waste occur and where there is a scope of improvement. And it also gives positive orientation to energy cost reduction. Finally, ultimate aim of energy audit is to reduce the energy cost reduction and translate that whatever the proposals, energy saving measures came, to convert that measures into a reality. It should not be like we give or to propose anything which is not practical or which is not implementable. And what are the different stages of the energy audit? So the first stage is to gather the preliminary data. For example, like historical electricity bill. Why electricity bill is required? Because to know every month how much electricity is consuming within the facility or within the home or within the any institute. Then based on that, conduct a field visit or conduct a planning to a field visit to find what are the scope or what are the different areas where energy can be saved, what are the different energy conservation measures that can be implemented, which are practicable. And finally, to analyze to summarize all the energy conservation measures, discuss with the management and find out which all can be applicable within that facility or which we can't implement. And finally, do the follow-ups. How much actual energy saving can be achieved by implementing any energy saving measures. And all these things we done to train the staff also, so that once the audit phase is completed, that staff they can itself take the initiative and do the audit of their facilities or audit after 1 year or 2 years or whenever required. So each of these steps we will see in detail in a later part of the slides. Now the question arises, what are the different types of energy audit? So the type of energy audit depends on the function, size, and type of the industries. For example, like a small hotel or small institute. So that can be in detail, in depth audit might not be required, only walkthrough audit is sufficient. So based on the potential and magnitude of the energy saving and cost reduction desired by the management from the energy audit can be characterized into 3 parts. For example, for the level 1 is walkthrough energy audit. Level 1 is walkthrough audit. Then level 2 is detailed energy audit, and level 3 is investment grade audit. So walkthrough audit, it is also a simple energy audit, or a simple we can say a one day or half day visit to the plant, and it provide a very quick overview of the energy use patterns, like based on the observation and historical data collected. Like I told you, we will get before going for field visit, energy auditor will collect the historical energy consumption trend. It will collect last 1 year or 2 years an electricity bill to see how the pattern, that energy consumption pattern increases, decreases. For example, like one of my friend, they said after installing solar panels, the number of ACs increases from 4 to 20. So this will again reflect into the electricity bill. And all these things we came to know through by seeing the monthly electricity consumption, that kWh unit, what that kWh unit is consumed within that facility. Then identify energy intensive process and equipment. Identify where are the losses, where are inefficiency, if any, exist within the facility. Then to ultimately find the scope for saving. And generally in walkthrough audit, the saving will be given based on the best practices method which we need to be followed. Since this walkthrough audit is simple audit and within 1 day, half day, it can be over. So no instruments are required. Just an auditor will go and take a walk through the facility, and based on the experience, the auditor will tell what is like scope for the savings, and then identify the most likely area for attention, that which area is required more attention. It will tell the management this area need to be focused to reduce the further cost of the energy. And that finally, after completing the audit, the auditor will tell some immediate energy conservation measures, and generally these energy conservation measures are comes under the category of energy conservation, where no or low cost implementation, where we don't need to pay anything. For example, like switching off the lights and AC whenever not required. That is, for that investment is absolutely zero, and this is come under best practice of operation also. And for a second example, like air conditioning, set the temperature of air conditioner at 24-degree temperature. So this is also like immediate improvement. So in walkthrough audit, generally auditor will recommend only those energy saving measures which are either comes under the category of no cost or low cost implementation. And the one more, this walkthrough audit, an auditor will find the different areas. It will become a detailed area. It will suggest to the management to conduct a detailed energy audit. For example, like if we talk about in hotels or resorts or any, then lighting load or air conditioning load will be the major. So if management want to go for detailed energy audit, then lighting and air conditioning area can be more focused during the detailed energy audit. So the detailed in level 2 is detailed energy audit. So the detailed energy audit, what will do, it will auditor will evaluate all the systems and equipment which consume energy, and the audit comprises of the detailed study on energy saving cost. So detailed energy audit can be carried out in 3 phases. The first one is pre-audit phase, second is audit phase, and third one is post-audit phase. So as I told you in walkthrough audit, generally the energy saving measures are given on the best practices, and mostly all the energy saving measures come under the category of no cost or low cost. But the detailed energy audit, it offers the most accurate and estimate the energy savings and the cost. It will also tell the financial benefit what you are going to get after implementing that particular energy saving measures. So in pre-audit phase, what generally auditor will do, they will discuss with the site manager about the energy audit. They will try to understand what is the exact requirement from the management, what they want from the what management want from the audit, any particular area they want to focus, or they want like full detailed audit of their facility. And then they will discuss with the management team, facility management team, and try to explain how the different process, different steps going to be taken during the audit phase. Then they will collect the historical data. They will ask for like 1 year, 2 year electricity consumption bill. They will ask if any other source of energy are you using, for example, like diesel consumption. So then they will ask in last 1 year how much diesel consumption is there within the facility, and they will do based on that data collected. They will analyze and they will see what is the like baseline, what is the baseline for that particular facility, how much every month average electricity consumption is there. And along with that, they will also ask about the instrument list. What kind of instruments are installed within the facilities? For example, again, if we talk about hotel or resort, then they will say how many air conditioning units are installed, what is the rated power or rated wattage of that air conditioning unit, what kind of different lights are used within that facility. And if we talk about institutional area and if they have labs, then how many computer systems are there, how many in labs, what are different kinds of equipments are there. And then finally they will decide what all kind of instruments need to be carried, and they decide when what is the exact or suitable time to do the field visit. So the next is audit phase. Audit phase is to auditor or team of auditor, they will go to the facility, and then they will do the evaluation of each and every equipment or each and every area. They will try to find the efficiency of the equipments which are installed within that facility area. They will find which all area losses are more. For example, if you go for any like water utility system like pumps, their pumps will be there. For like water delivery pumps are there. So an energy auditor, they will go, they will see they will evaluate what's the efficiency of the pumps. And for example, in a resort, AHUs will be there, air handling unit. Then what is the efficiency of that air handling unit? What is the efficiency of the compressor unit? All these things the energy auditor will do during the audit phase, which means during the site visit. So during audit phase, during site visit, energy auditor will calculate the efficiency of the equipments. They will prepare the process flow diagram and do energy balance. For example, suppose X unit of the energy consumed within the facility. So out of that X unit, which area consumed the maximum energy? They will try to find out the different areas and their energy guzzlers or within the facilities. Then they will identify the energy conservation opportunities exist within that facilities. And finally, once energy conservation opportunities identified, they will identify how much actual cost saving will be there by implementing that energy conservation opportunities, and what's the payback. Suppose the payback is immediate, or payback is with less than the 1 year, or it will take like more investment is required and payback is within next 3 to 4 years, or it will take more than that. And finally, the auditor will submit a technical and feasibility report. This report will contain what is the energy consumption pattern within the facilities. Then it will also tell what is the all the list of the energy conservation measures that can be implemented within the facility. What is the cost benefit analysis? And then finally, with discussion with management, an auditor will try to implement the plan for energy saving measures. Then during post-audit phase, so what happened during audit phase, during plant field visit? Auditor will tell, okay, by implementing
sorry, just can you just go back to the slide Before, okay, I just want to this to be registered with the participants. So first we calculate the efficiency of the equipment. Then we prepare the process flow. Identify the energy conservation opportunities. Then we do our calculation with payback. The technical feasibility report. That feasibility report has to do with what? Can you expand on what this technical feasibility report is?
So once the audit is completed, the auditor will submit a report which include what is the energy consumption pattern within the facility, what are the different areas where the energy is utilizing. Then it will also tell what are the different energy conservation opportunities exist within the facilities. For example, like if you talk about water utility system, the energy opportunity exists are if pumps efficiency is low, then that report will tell, okay, the pump efficiency is very less, only 50%. Replace the pump with a new pump of high efficiency. So it will technical report will tell all the possible energy conservation opportunities exist within the facilities. Along with it will also tell what is the financial benefit that organization is going to get after implementing that energy conservation opportunities, and what is the payback period. And finally, it will tell after discussion with management what all energy conservation opportunities can be implemented. So report is finally conclusion of it will detail all what all the process followed during the audit phase that will come under in report. So that after audit, after 1 year or 2 year, if anyone want to read that audit report, they can easily understand, okay, during audit phase what all things are happening, and now after 1 year when we implemented the energy conservation measures, now what is happening, whether the energy consumption increases or decreases.
Okay, I know.
So
I know you're in your comfort in speaking, but you know we're from the Caribbean, and it's difficult to decipher the accent and then the speed. So if you can go a little bit slower as we present, you know, because we.
Okay.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. Next slide.
Okay, so the post-audit phase is it will mainly focus on implementation of the energy conservation measures and to monitor how much actual saving achieved by implementing any energy conservation measures. For example, like I told you, if the efficiency of the pump is very less, then if we replace that low efficiency pump with high efficiency pump, then how much actual energy saving achieved. So all this will come under post-audit phase, which include implementation and monitoring. Then third one is investment grade audit. So what happened? So all the energy saving conservations are generally categorized into 3 parts. First one is low cost measures or no cost measures. And second part is where the payback is coming within less than 1 year. And third is where the huge upfront investment is required. For example, like installing a solar panels, it will require a huge upfront cost. So for all the areas where the huge upfront cost is required, the management will ask to go for investment grade audit. It includes all the steps of level 1, that is walkthrough audit, and level 2 of detailed energy audit. But along with that, it will also provide in-depth financial analysis such as net present value and IRR. What is the IRR of that any particular implementation? For example, like solar panels, if we installed, then what is the IRR after 20 years, or what is the NPV after 20 years? So investment grade audit, it will provide a guaranteed saving verification plan, because our management need to put a huge upfront cost. So the management will ask about to give the detailed financial analysis. So only in that case, auditor will go and do for an investment grade audit. Now, what are the different energy audit instruments required? So there is like one very famous saying, if you can't measure, you can't save. So to save anything, to save the energy, first it is required to measure the energy, how much energy we are consuming, how much it is the losses are happening. So to measure, we required different instruments, because generally what happened, if you go to any facilities, and most of the facilities, they don't have any installed instruments are not there to measure the parameters. So an auditor will carry their own set of instruments. And generally, the instruments are categorized into 5 categories. First is thermal, mechanical, chemical, electrical, and lighting. So electrical instrument, it is used to measure the different electrical parameters. Like Sir said that energy meter, we can put and it will tell about how much energy is consuming by fan or by any particular appliances. In same way, we will also carry our own set of electrical instrument. It will tell what is the voltage that is coming in the facilities, what is the current, what is any harmonic distortions are there or not, then how much power it is consuming, what is the power factor and frequency, and any unbalance is there. So to measure all the electrical parameters, we will carry our own set of instrument, that is like load analyzer or power analyzer.
What a lot of these machines, these instruments do as well, is that it will tell you the time of the day you have the highest consumption.
So these instruments have like it can be used as instantaneous instrument also. It will tell instantaneous what is happening, instantaneous power parameters. And if we want to logging, if during whole 24 hours how the energy consumption pattern change, so this instrument has the facility to do recording also. And it will tell all the electrical parameters which whatever we required. For example, voltage, current, harmonic, power. In season 1, Dr. Rao said that electrical energy is categorized into 3 parts. That is active power, reactive power, and apparent power. So that all the 3 powers, how much that in instrument is utilizing, it will that in this instruments will tell that what is the power factor, because what happen if power factor is very low, this means that reactive power consumption is more, and apparent power will also increase. So power factor is low, then we will tell to install capacitor bank. What is the frequency, and if any unbalance is there or not, because what happened if we suppose 3-phase power connection is there, so any unbalance in the load is there or not, and any suppose surges or dips are there in the transient. So these load analyzer, it is used to measure all the electrical parameters.
Mr. Sharma, I know it's highly technical, and most of the participants in the call perhaps won't understand reactive power and so on. So if you can, what essentially these instruments do is it tells you at what time of the day you have the highest consumption, what is the spikes, where the energy usage actually is coming from, and when he says that your system is balanced, is that he's talking about you have 3 phases, which is 3 like a 3-phase. That's mainly for like an industrial or commercial building, not necessarily with residential, because it is just 1 phase and a neutral. But there's actually three phases, and you want to make sure it is balanced, because a balancing of that load is important for energy. So if we could just quickly go through these instruments without going into any technical detail, so we can have an opportunity to do some calculations in the end. That'll be good.
Sure. So the next instrument is tachometer. It is used to measure the speed or the speed of the any rotating equipments like electric motor, pump, blowers. And this can be either like contact type or non-contact type. Then we have ultrasonic flow meter. This is basically used to measure the flow, water flow rate. And for example, like if you want to measure the efficiency of the pump, then for that it is important to understand what is the flow rate, what is the delivery from that pump. To measure the flow rate, water flow rate, we use ultrasonic flow meter. Similarly, like we use ultrasonic flow meter to measure the water flow rate. And to measure the air flow rate, we use anemometer. Then to measure the pressure, for example, like on suction and delivery side, what is the pressure is there. We use a pressure gauge, and we also use a manometer to measure the pressure and measure the temperature and humidity. We have hygrometer, and to measure surface temperature, what is the temperature of any surface, then we use infrared thermometer. And to capture variations in the temperature, we use thermographic camera. It will give the image where is like hot spots are there, where some air leakages are there. It will tell that to identify that air leakages, we use thermographic camera. And for this infrared thermometer and thermographic camera, all are like non-contact type. To measure the temperature of the water, we use thermocouple. So thermocouple is contact type temperature measurement device, and infrared thermometer and thermographic camera is non-contact type temperature measurement device. So these are like few images of thermographic camera. So here, first image you can see it's a transformer. So here, that red spot we can identify. So after identifying the red spot, we will do further analysis and try to find why that red spot is there. Similarly, like if sees that second image, that bolt connection, bus bar bolts connection is there. So one bolt connection is loose. Because of that, temperature is very high. And before any fault occur or if any breakdown occur, we can tight that bolt, or we can solve the problem. Similarly, again, you can see that thermography images. See red image shows that high temperature and something is wrong happening within that particular area. So to know what's the temperature difference, what is the temperature difference between the surface areas, we use thermography images. Then like electricity recorder, we have a humidity data logger also, and that lux meter. This is like one of the most important instrument if we talk particularly about hotels or any other residential sector, because for example, while working, I required minimum 300 lux, and if the lux is more or lux is less, it will create uncomfort for me. So to measure what is the exact illumination level that is present within the room or within the working area, we require lux meter. So this this meter we have to go and be placed on the table and working area, and it will tell what is the illumination that is present within that particular area. If it is within the limit, then it's okay. But if it is high or less, then we will suggest. If it is high, then we will suggest to switch off few lights, and if it is low, then we will suggest to put some more light. So to measure the illumination level, we use lux meter. Then these are like few chemical instrument to measure like conductivity and pH of the water quality analysis. We have conductivity and pH meter. Then flue gases, suppose boiler is there. Then in flue gases, what are the different parameters are there, like oxygen level, how much it is there, carbon dioxide, how much is there. For that, we have flue gas analyzer. It will tell all the parameters like oxygen, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, and even it will tell also the temperature of the flue gas. Then these are like other accessories like notepad or tablet to write the different measurements, calculator to do calculation part, and measuring tape is also required sometime to take the diameter or length of the duct. So these are like few instruments which we generally carry with during a detailed energy audit or investment grade energy audit. For walkthrough audit, no instruments are required, or minimum instruments I can say we can carry. So again, I come to like stages of the energy audit. So the first stage is gather the preliminary data. So what all data is required? So the first is monthly energy consumption detail, which means monthly electricity bill or monthly diesel or any other fuel consumption bill or quantity. Then list of the equipment or appliances, whatever installed within the facility, and other relevant informations like total built up area, or if it is like production unit, manufacturing unit, what is the annual production rate. So this preliminary data, it is basically required to make a baseline. if suppose energy consumption is more than that baseline, that management can immediately take the action to identify why the energy consumption increases. And if it is like less than the baseline, then baseline value can be shifted to that lower level. Then third is during that field visit. So during field visit, what the different steps we will take. So we will identify the energy intensive instrument or appliances. How this we will do? By calculating the energy consumption by instrument or appliances. So to know how much that particular instrument energy is consuming, we require an energy meter, like image of what I show you, power analyzer. So with the help of power analyzer, we will connect and we will see what is the energy consumption by that particular instrument. And like this, all the areas we will go and we will do what is the energy consumption in different areas. And based on that energy consumption pattern, we will identify energy saving opportunities. That is step 2. And then step 3 is to calculate annual energy savings in terms of cost. Then step 4 is annual cost saving. Then fifth step is to calculate the investment required. And finally is payback period. How much like to payback and how many months or year we will get the payback. So these are like the 6 steps which we generally any auditor will follow during the field visit or site visit. So in today's session, I'm going to focus only on step 1. Remaining step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we are going to see in tomorrow's session. So how to identify?
I'm looking at the time and I know it's approaching lunch and the participants. I want to pause here a bit just to ask if so far there's any questions in terms of what is entailed in an energy audit. And the reason I'm pausing now because I think the question section will take us some time, and I want us to not rush through it. We're approaching 12 o'clock. So my suggestion would be to post the questions, and then tomorrow's session, we will start the session by responding to the answers to the question. But are you in agreement with that, Leslie? Leslie?
I'm trying to get clarification. Maybe Nadia could tell us here whether or not we should be finishing at 12 or 12:30 based on the time that we had on the invitation. If not,
the official time is 12, Leslie, but it depends on whether the participants are willing to stay on half an hour longer.
I think if it's 12, we had an invitation, we should keep it at 12.
Okay.
And maybe we can go with Dakin's suggestion that we take some question and answers now. Maybe we can have an assignment, the exercise that we were about to go into, and start with that at the next session tomorrow. That will be my proposal in terms of moving forward.
Okay.
Unless we have a unanimous proposal from the participants to proceed an extra half an hour.
Well, I think I'm agree with you. I think that we should post the questions, and the participants will have an opportunity to go through the slides that we went through today, and they will have an opportunity to look at it and digest it a bit, and we can have an understanding tomorrow morning when we start the session at 9. So my suggestion is to post the question, have a home assignment, and tomorrow at 9 we revisit the answers to the questions.
I tend to want to go with that suggestion as well. I already see some comment in the chat that we should take lunch, so that means that we should end at 12. So I think we should stick to that based on the time that we have invited the participants for the day.
So Mr. Sharma, if you could just pose the question, just the question slide, the next slide. No, what is this slide that you are? What is the assignment? Okay, no.
I think we were about to go into a calculation, so we were saying
we're about to go into the calculations. The slide.
If you could,
yeah.
Which should have been the next slide from where you were. If you could post the parameters for the calculation, and we allow the participants to attempt the calculations overnight.
No, I don't think. Oh. Okay, that's it.
This one?
I don't know if, can you go to the slide before this one? Or was this slide before this? No, we didn't, no.
For this?
The sample calculations we can give to participants.
No, before this, yes,
No, you go.
Yes, yes.
No, up.
Okay.
So you're here.
You're here.
Yes,
so the very next slide is energy consumption by equipment. Number of, okay, what's the next slide after this? Okay. No, you're going too fast.
So my suggestion, Ellsworth, we would have looked at, we would have done a preliminary calculation in one of the slides above where we worked out the energy consumption. Yatat, if you go up, please. So from here to the last slide, there are a couple of calculations. My suggestion is that I will get the email addresses once this meeting is over, and participants will have an opportunity to review the slides and the content and work on this overnight or in your spare time before tomorrow's session. So Yatat, what you can do is probably just summarize what the calculations are asking for, what these exercises are asking for, and then we can close the session, and I'll be sure to share the presentations if that's okay with you, Ellsworth and Leslie.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's agreed by us.
So, yes. So the first step of any audit is to calculate the energy consumption by different appliances. So the formula is very simple. So to calculate the energy consumption per day, what we have to do, we have to multiply number of appliances with rated input power and with operating hours per day and divide by 1000. Why we are divided by 1000? Because the energy, just to convert that watt into kilowatt, we divide by 1000. So, and once we have energy consumption per day, now we require to calculate energy consumption per month. So for every individual day, you have to follow the same process, the same table you have to follow. For example, like you can put name like lamp, ceiling fan, and the different appliances, whatever present within your home, and then how many quantities, rated input power, operating hours per day, and then you can calculate energy consumption per day using the above formula. And as I told you, above step need to be followed for all the equipments. So this is like one example I have taken, like energy consumption per month by our lamp, or you can say electricity lamp. So this is the example. I filled the parameters for you. For example, like we have 10 number of electricity lamp is there. So the quantity will remain same throughout the month until unless you have not changed it. That rated input power is also going to the same. Operating hours, it will vary. It will vary based on your usage. And using the same formula, you can calculate energy consumption per day. For example, here, like 10 multiplied by 28 multiplied by 12 divided by 1000, it will give you 3.3. So like this, you have to calculate for all the 31 days or 30 days within the month to calculate the energy consumption per month by only lamp. And similarly for different appliances. And then ultimately you have to do summation of all the energy consumption per month by different appliances to get the actual energy consumption. So this is now the second is energy consumption per year. So now we have, you know how to calculate energy consumption per day. You also know how to calculate energy consumption per month. Now to calculate energy consumption per year, you have to follow all the steps for all the months. And finally, when you do the summation, it will tell you energy consumption per year. So now the assignment or sample question for you for your homework, I can say. Okay, before that, when we calculate all these like month wise, if we calculate, or days wise, if we calculate, it is like too lengthy process. To simplify, what generally an auditor will do, it will ask the management, it will ask the homeowner to tell what is the operating days of that particular instrument in a month and the operating days in a year. So by using a simple formula like energy consumption per month, if we want to calculate, we will multiply energy consumption per day with operating days in a month. And to calculate energy consumption per year, we multiply energy consumption per month into per day into operating days in a year. So these two formulas simplify the process. Now it's based on your choice, how you want to follow, which formula you want to follow. You want to follow that lengthy process. That lengthy process will give the more accurate answer, more accurate energy consumption. But this will accuracy level, it might be less, but also it can give you the, some assumption or.
I see there's a question from
and now if we want to calculate the monthly cost utilization,
one second,
as I told you.
So Sham, I see there's a question. I see John Akulo, there's a question from you. Your hand is up.
Sorry, I just forgot to lower it down.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry. Okay, continue, Shama.
So when we multiply energy consumption per month with per unit electricity cost, it will give you the monthly cost of utilizing the electricity, and that our monthly electricity bill cost might be different because it also includes non-fuel charges and some other taxes. But it will give you like on average what is like monthly energy consumption cost. So these are like few formulas which we generally follow to calculate the energy consumption by different equipments. And this is one example. For example, like we have LED lamps, ceiling fan, refrigerator, water heater, water pump. And for your reference, I have filled the number. LED lamps, 3 number are there. Rated watt is 28. Operating hour is 10. And generally lamps we use for all the 365 days in a year. Ceiling fan also, if we talk about like coastal areas, 365 days we use. Refrigerator also 365 days. Water heater mostly only when temperature is low, so I consider like 90 days. Water pump all 365 days. So now your assignment is to calculate the daily energy consumption. The formula is it's very simple, like number of appliances multiplied by rated input power multiplied by operating hours per day. This will give you daily energy consumption. And when you multiply daily energy consumption with operating days in a year, it will give you annual energy consumption. Or if you multiply by number of days in a month, operating days in a month, it will give you monthly energy consumption.
Let's stop at this slide, Shama, and tomorrow the homework will be to calculate the annual consumption of the LED fan, the refrigerator, water heater, and the water pump. So I think we could stop here, and we could use this formula to calculate the annual energy consumption per year, using the formula you suggested, based on the operating hours. Would you agree that is a good way to stop and as a good exercise for the participants, so that when we return tomorrow, we'll have the answers for these? So I would like to, so Nadia, will you send the last 3 or 4 slides, including this, and then we'll resume this tomorrow. It's at 12:10 now, and sorry to have go into your lunch and stuff. I wanted to thank you all for this morning's session, and to thank the speakers and Leslie and the government and the folks from IRENA. And we will resume tomorrow at 9 o'clock. You have any more remarks that you want to make, Dr. Rao? Leslie?
Yeah, no, nothing. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock will be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thanks again, everyone. I would like to close this session for today, and we will continue tomorrow at 9.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.